Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth edition of our Future Food series. Annex Food and ProVeg have started this meetup series exactly 1 year ago. After covering topics like dairy alternatives and seafood, today's session is all about cheese. Hi, Fabio.
Hi, Albrecht. Good to see you again. Yeah, we are absolutely astonished. So for over 600 registrations for today's meeting, and I see that the numbers of participants is still increasing. So today is a really good topic with the alternative cheese, because I think for me personally it's the most sophisticated topic in the plant-based revolution, because we have not only the texture topic, we have not only the whole topic of taste, which is so difficult in the plant-based sector for cheese. It's also about the smell, and so we are really happy and delighted to have so many good and really pioneers as a speakers here in our session today. So before we start with a short introduction, we want to give you an overview about how today's session will run. So first of all, you can use the hashtag if you want to communicate about today's event, which will be FFS21, so Future Food Series 21, as we are now starting with our new season, and the next event will be also in May. Then we have some questions and short introduction by our speakers, some questions that we ask them to go a bit deeper into the topic, and after that we will open question for also the audience, so that you can all ask some questions, and we will choose selected ones to ask our panelists about the current development, some trends, and what's happening in this space. And please feel free to ask these questions via the chat function or the Q&A function. And before we start with the introduction of our speakers, Albrecht, what are you doing at ProVeg Incubator?
Thank you, Fabio. Yes, the ProVeg Incubator was the first acceleration program really for startups focusing fully on plant-based and cultivated meat alternatives. And we kicked this off in 2018 as an initiative by ProVeg International, the food awareness organization. So currently we're setting up our next cohort, that's cohort number 6, kicking off in April this year. And this is always a very exciting time when you talk to all the founders from actually all over the world that apply to join our program. We're also working on another round of investments that we started last year in collaboration with our partner Veg Capital. And we are really excited to prepare for next week's New Food Invest conference. That's a conference that is focusing exclusively on bringing startups and investors together in one day from Asia to the Americas, actually. And you, Fabio, will be there as well, so we will see you there again. So that's great. What's on at Annex Food then?
Yeah, thank you very much, Albrecht. Yeah, we as Annex Food, we count ourselves as an innovation hub. So we are bringing also together corporates and startups, but also helping corporates and other partners to really handle this whole food tech revolution that we see at the moment. We call it the food system transformation, and it's not only the plant-based and alternative food transformation that we see at the moment. It's also about topics like vertical farming, circular economy, and also everything that's happening in the digitalization world. So this is what we do. We of course help our mother company, which is Metro, in this aspect, but also external partners. And therefore we are absolutely happy to run sessions like this one today, where we discuss topics, where we see, okay, how's the current development? And this is something that I'm really curious about also personally, because with Balpro, we have also founded the Association for Alternative Proteins. So before we start, as I said, we will have a short introduction, and the first speaker that I want to introduce is Anya Leisner. Hi, Anya, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me. So a quick introduction of myself. I have a background within biotechnology, microbiology, dairy processing and technology, and food science. And I'm a big nerd who didn't realize I was an entrepreneur until about 3 years ago. And that's where I come in contact with my co-founder, Soros Tavakoli, and we founded Noquo Foods. And we believe that we are one of the most ambitious take on the plant-based cheese alternatives out there. So that is what we're up to. And we were also asked to share a highlight from last year. And I know that last year was difficult for many of us, but for Noquo Food and for me personally, it was actually a pretty amazing year. We went from being 3 people to 10 people within the company. We developed our first product and we made so much progress. So yeah, it's I struggle finding one highlight, but I'm really happy to be here today as a speaker and to share our knowledge and our experience in this sector.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Anya.
Thanks, Anya. Next up is Anthimos, CEO of the ARIVIA group, which is actually the owner of Violife. Welcome, Anthimos.
Thank you, Albrecht. Really nice to be here with the group. Hope I can be of help. Start exploring a little bit the opportunities in the market. A very brief background for me. I have the finance and operations background. I've been majorly involved in various projects across various food segments in the last 20 years. I've been chief executive of Violife of ARIVIA the last 10 years. So I was part of this project. I started being part of this project back in 2011. I think that it has been quite a trip so far. I wouldn't classify ARIVIA and Violife under the strict term of a startup. It's been quite some time since we started this journey. We are currently present in more than 65 markets globally. I think that it would be quite beneficial for everyone to exchange views of how the market is evolving. 2020, a big milestone for us, becoming a member of the Upfield group in the early days back in January. I think that pretty much accelerates our effort in order to establish a better footprint across all markets. Of course, quite challenging from the COVID perspective, but I'm happy to actually share with you that we closed the year employing more than 700 employees, which is extremely important for us, especially nowadays. Again, very happy being with you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Anthimos. So the next speaker is Raphael. What are you doing and what was your highlight in 2020?
Hey, Fabio, thanks so much. Yeah, my name is Rafa. I'm co-founder and CEO of Legendary Foods. We're coming at, the cheese challenge from a slightly different angle. So working mostly with precision fermentation, which I'm going to talk about later. For me, it's interesting, as Anya said, she's a nerd who turned entrepreneurial. For me, it's kind of the other way around. I come from a business background, but I realized I'm actually a bit of a nerd in biotech and food tech. So really excited to work with a great team and great R&D team specifically. Originally from Switzerland, and as you know, when you're Swiss and you want to work on the future of cheese, where you go, you come to Berlin and start a company. It's what I did with Legendary. Highlights of last year, there were a bunch of highlights. We grew from 4 people at the beginning of the year to 18 at the end of the year. Now have the great opportunity to work with a bunch of European partners in a publicly funded project that I'm going to talk about later as well. It's been a great year, actually.
Perfect. That sounds good.
Yeah, sounds great, Raphael. Thank you. Now, welcome to Assi Grunder from New Roots, actually from Switzerland and based in Switzerland. Raphael in Berlin, as we know. So, Assi, what's been happening? What are you doing, and what was your highlight last year?
Yes, guys. Again, great to be here with you. We are actually based in the center of the milk industry, let's say, of the world, of Europe, in Emmental. And we started actually the company 5 years ago and created something new, among all the cheese, the cow milk cheese producers. There was a small company who is trying to show that there are some other ways, to live our lives, to make the world a better place, not to define between the species, and just make sure that it's going back to us, to our health, and to the world. And that's actually the story of new roots, you know, to create maybe the new roots, the tradition of the future, and think about what we can do differently in a land with such strong traditions. Yeah, so this is very, actually it's very sensitive thing in Switzerland to have a company like ours, you know, who is like showing that there's another way to live our lives, to be kind, to show a lot of love, a lot of compassion toward people, toward the animals, toward the planet. And last year was actually amazing for us because what we are trying to do is we are trying to fulfill the demand for products in Switzerland and the neighbor countries. And we moved to a bigger facility in Emmental, in the heart, the center of the cow milk's cheese production. And we are very proud to be here, and we grew our team, and we are actually looking forward for the future.
Wow, thank you very much, Assi. This is really good to see that all of you said that last year was really an accelerating year for you and your business. So thank you very much for so much positive energy here. Jan and Anya, it's great to have you also here. So you are the pioneers in the sector with 10 years experience and or more years experience, but 10 years vegans, and congratulations to that. So please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening. I'm Anya, 4 years now working at Vegans. I'm board member and so responsible for the whole supply chain. We brought along a short presentation for you that evening. We're trying to start it right now. Yeah, responsible for the whole supply chain means as well product development, purchases, internal sales, quality, production. And I give the word now to Jan.
Yeah, hello from my side. I'm Jan. I'm the founder of Vegans. I'm not a foodie. I grew up in the automotive industry with Daimler and Mercedes, and yeah, I founded Vegans in February 2011. Next slide. Yeah, Vegans has had an exciting journey. Yeah, almost 10 years ago, we founded as the first vegan supermarket chain, and within a few months we opened 12 stores in Germany, Austria, and Czech Republic. And from the beginning, our markets have been a great success, a big press response from all over the world, big interest. And in 2014, Vegans became a wholesaler for vegan food. And we had customers like Edeka, and we founded also a joint venture together with Edeka in 2015, procurement to purchase some vegan stuff from all over the world. And we had assortment from approximately 300 vegan products from all popular brands worldwide, like Beyond Meat or Follow Your Heart, Tofurky, Dea, Gardein, and yeah, we became the biggest importer for vegan food for the European market. And we decided in a strategic, because of a strategic issue, to shut down the wholesale business, and we focus only on our own brand business. And yeah, since 2018, we only develop and distribute our own branded products. Actually, we have 120 products in our assortment. We are the only one full assortment supplier of vegan food. And our products are available in 28 countries. That means around 18,000 point of sales. and we are the best known brand, vegan brand in Germany, and yeah, we are also independent until now. There are many brands, especially in the US, they were sold to the big guys, to corporates. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, also Follow Your Heart. Yeah. Our company has dedicated itself to issues of climate protection, environmental protection. Everything we do must have a positive impact on climate protection and environmental protection. Otherwise, we will not do it, or we will look for other solutions. In order to make our purpose transparent, and visible for everyone, we developed together with CodeCheck and Eternity the sustainability score, and our customers can find the Eternity sustainability score on every packaging of our products. And we always communicate the Eternity score in all our advertising campaigns and so on. And after just 1 year, 50% of the Germans already know the score. And yeah, it would be important that other companies will follow us and also use this score. And leadership and culture is also important issue for us. All our employees should think and work as co-entrepreneurs, and our employees work and make decisions independently. And we managers act more as coaches and advise them on their work. We are currently seeing an intense trend towards more sustainability in our diet in Europe. This is from our market survey in Europe. And so society's awareness of plant-based diets is growing, and the drivers for this are climate change and environmental protection. And yeah, 7 years ago, it was more animal welfare related. Now we see more a trend to environment and climate protection. Young people in particular are changing their shopping behavior, and eating habits changed dramatically. And as our study shows, 2020. Yeah, if you're interested, we can make the results of our study available for you. You can download this study from our website. And now we comes to the cheese. Next. Yeah, plant-based cheese alternatives are, from our point of view, are the fastest growing category of vegan foods, and followed by fish and meat alternatives like cold cuts. And if you compare the overall market for conventional cheese products with the plant-based cheese alternatives, we see that there is a lot of potential here. And we will see double-digit growth rates every year for the next 10 years. And we have created a simple calculation for our vegans Cashewbert. You know, the total market for vegan, for cow's milk soft cheese in Germany is around 1.2 billion euros. And if plant-based soft cheese alternatives only achieve a market share of 5%, it would be 60 million annual sales with just one product. And this is really amazing and huge potential for many market participants. Next. And yeah, so there's enough space in this category for companies and their products. And Sales actually is low level, and we are currently seeing basically two different types of plant-based cheese alternatives. First, there are the products based on oil and starch. That is what Violife is doing, or our slices, gourmet slices, or gourmet piece is also based on oil and starch. And there are the nut-based products, and these are mostly fermented in nature, and you can find these on the shelf as cream cheese or soft cheese. Next. 6 months ago, that's our highlight of 2020, we started to use our Vegan's cashew bear. That's a camembert alternative in Berlin. It was our first own production facility. Our other products are produced by third-party production. We have set up a small 200 square meter production facility for this purpose. And we are currently able to produce 2,000 pieces of cashew bear per day. We could also produce more, but we are limited by the space required by the maturation process rooms. And the cashew bear consists of only 5 organic ingredients and matures for 10 days. And after packaging, it continues and has then a shelf life for about 40 days. In addition to recipes and sustainable ingredients, the packaging of our products is very important to us. Wherever it works, and unfortunately this is currently not possible with every product. For instance, our chocolate and nuts and needs a protective film, and our products are packaged in an environmentally friendly way. We are also printing inks without mineral oils, and in the last 2 years, we have checked our entire product range and switched it to sustainable packaging. And we are particularly proud of our new innovative packaging for our chilled products. In this on this slide, this is the first 100% compostable packaging for chilled products, and the film dissolves after 90 days. Due to high demand, and because we believe that the markets will continue to develop exponentially, we are currently planning our second 4,000 square meter production facility in Berlin. In addition to soft cheese alternatives, curd alternatives, we will also develop and manufacture fish alternatives based on algae and TVP products. We are planning to start production in the first quarter of 2022, which doesn't leave us much time. I think, and I hope that very many informations in a very short time slot.
Yeah, but this was really perfect. Thank you very much, Jan and Anya, to give us an introduction into the topic and also an overview about the most used ingredients. This was really, really helpful, even if it was just the German market, but this was quite a good entrance into the topic. The question that I want to ask you, you are now 10 years in this sector, Jan. How do you see the rise of technology in this level? Is there now a lot more technology used in production of the cheese, so also in producing some kind of smell ingredients or something like this? Maybe you can give us some information about this, the development?
I think how I explained, actually we have these two types of vegan cheese, and I think and I know that we will see some more technology-based alternatives in the future, especially in the nut-based product range. I don't believe that the starch and oil cheese alternatives will be better in the next couple of years. I think we have seen the top level of quality at the moment, but for the nuts, and there are many possibilities and opportunities for new developments, and we also for the cultures, we will build up our own laboratory only to develop the cultures for cheese, and there I see many space and room for new developments, and also we can it could be helpful that we will advised by some guys from the cow milk business, because it's the same process. We only change the ingredients, but the process from maturation or culturing for the cheese products are completely the same, and that's why, from my point of view, it's helpful to be advised by some professionals from the cow milk cheese business.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I think Assi will follow me.
Okay, let's include Anya first in the discussion. Anya from Noquo Foods, actually from Sweden, because you said it's about technology, and the technology is getting more and more important. And Anya, as a scientist, said, or in your blog, I read on your website that you have this this formula that says, now after raising a significant seed round for your startup at a very early stage, which was very impressive. But basically, what you're saying is more scientists equals more cheese and better cheese. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we are extremely focused on developing what we think it's needed, which is products that will leave the consumers feeling more saturated, and that will be a more comparable experience to the animal versions that are out there. So but in that concept, what is absolutely crucial is that we get the taste, we get the flavor right. So if we want people to really take the full step and do this shift, they have to enjoy the cheese. So science will give us the tools, but we have been collaborating with chefs from the beginning, with some of the well-renowned chefs that we have here in Sweden. And it's really important for us to get that full taste experience. And I've tried some nut-based cheese that were just mentioned, that some are really good, but we also want to be able to reach the larger masses. We want to have a real impact and reach a lot of people. And in order to do that, we believe that we need to have a raw material that is a little bit more sustainable and accessible, that can make the price range needed for it to be accessible for every man. So we believe in science. We definitely need the science, but we also need the culture. Cheese is love, cheese is passion, and we want people to be able to enjoy that. So it shouldn't be that you're taking a lesser version of something. It should be something that you really enjoy eating. So that is our ambition for sure.
So science is basically the answer and the way to cracking that cheese code that everybody is after, and also for scaling, I understand.
Definitely. And we are a firm believer that, yeah, so Impossible Food is a great role model for us, and they have a large R&D team. We're looking into scaling our R&D team to 20 people. So, and we want to have the chefs involved, we want to have the product developers involved, and we want to be able to do the in-depth. We just scratched the surface here. So we have some amazing proof points. I'm really proud and happy what we have accomplished in this short amount of time, but we're not gonna stop there. We're not gonna stop just because we have some product that we think are good enough. We're gonna continue to be curious and continue to be very eager in finding these alternatives, because we also have to be able to offer the people alternatives that are good for you. You have to have the nutritional profile. I get some comments that my internet connection is unstable, so I apologize for that. I don't really know if there's anything I can do differently, but please let me know if you want me to repeat something in what I'm saying. But we need to get the better cheese out there. Science is one way to do it, but not lose track with the culinary experience, and never to lose focus on the customer taste experience. That really will be number one. And one part of this is, of course, the ingredients. We know and we've heard of the others that yes, cashew is big in the plant-based cheese industry. Nuts, coconut, and so on is also very important. You use legumes. Can you say a little bit more about your ingredients and how you're using them and why it's better and why it will change this segment? Yeah, I'm going to try to keep it short, but we are, and I know that Rafael will talk more later on casein, I'm sure, but casein is the magic ingredient in milk that make cheese delicious, that give the cheesy pulse that we see on the pizza, that, that brings all the flavor and binds the fat and just create this amazing matrix. So the challenge with plant-based cheese is how can we achieve all of these characteristics when we don't have this amazing and very complicated protein structure to work with. So I've been researching plant proteins for about 3 years now, identifying the different characteristics and functionality of them, and then looking into how can I work with them, how can I functionalize them further, how can I achieve synergy between different proteins in order to make them behave like the casein would in that cheese application. So we're the foundation in our cheese at the moment are the plant proteins working as a matrix. And then one really important aspect not to be forgotten, especially in cheese, that is the fat component. So you need to have that taste carrier, and you need to have that, the creaminess and this mouthfeel that we really love about the cheese. So we are working with the proteins, we're working with the fat, and we're using this new technologies and crazy ideas that I have, but we're combining them. I have a large experience from the dairy industry. So I come from that side. I'm gonna put it out there so everyone knows that, from the dark side. And that's really helpful. And we have been combining traditional cheese making procedure and technologies with these new technologies in order to really kind of get the best of both worlds. So we are fermenting our cheeses at the moment, in order to create, so instead of adding a lot of natural flavors or other additives to achieve the kind of flavor or textural appearance that we want, we're using the fermentation system to get to that point. So that's one part of our, what we're working at the moment.
And yeah, just out of curiosity,
yes.
How far are we away from this beautiful cheese pictures that we see all over the media? From melting cheese coming out of pizza or macaroni.
Yeah, so actually we have our first product, but that's gonna be, I can't really talk too much about it because we are also in the middle of rebranding the company. We were about to go public with that this Monday, but we're pushing it, so it will be next week. So I'm a little bit constrictive of what can I say, what can I not say, but the plan is to have our first product out in some selective restaurants in Stockholm in the end of April. And that product will be like a feta cheese substitute. So you can use it in your pasta or on your vegetables, in a wrap, in a bowl, and so forth. And we have gotten an amazing feedback on it so forth, and we're right now looking into scaling it and large production. But we are also developing 2 other product categories. So we're developing a spreadable one that we're gonna have in 3 flavors, and obviously the holy grail, the pizza cheese. So this, as you say, this is what we're looking for, and this is what we really want to get right. And this is also the most technical challenging product to get just right, because it's not known for a pronounced flavor, and working with plant proteins, there always is some off flavors. If you are experienced, you know what I'm talking about. That's why nuts are sometimes more preferred, but they don't have the smooth mouthfeel. They don't have the melting capabilities. So actually the technology that we have developed is has been outperforming when we have done on our last trials, when we have compared the melting behavior to all other plant-based cheeses out there. But to be perfectly honest with you, flavor, it's not there yet. The kind of bite resistance that you're looking for is not there yet. But then again, we never plan to be able to crack that so quickly. So we're perfectly fine with that. We were gonna continue to put in the resources and not give up before we get there. But so the answer to your question was a very long answer, and I'm very passionate, so please be tolerant with me. But I would say a year from now, you will have something out in the market, and we will probably be sharing some pictures to tease you with before that.
Yeah, we are all looking for the holy grail of pizza.
Yeah. I know.
Thank you very much for this. Assi, Grunder, so my question to you is, since we're talking now all about the characteristics of cheese, what was your experience in the go-to-market of New Roots, and not only in the retail space, but also in the professional space? Maybe you can share some experience there.
Yes, now I guess you can hear me. So, like it's very interesting, but like Jan shared and Anya, you know, shared her thoughts and the future plans. We are already there. I mean, we create actually a cheese, although we are not able to say the word cheese because of the restrictions in the EU and in Switzerland. We do exactly the same, and we use only 4 ingredients. We use biodegradable cashews, and we use water from the area, from the mountains where we are, and some salt, and vegan fermentation cultures, and that's it, set 2. And we do exactly the same ripening process and the same fermentation process. We have research and development. We have a lab at house, and we are actually using the same processes like the traditional way of making cheese in Switzerland for hundreds of years. Instead of using the cruelty of, you know, using the cows, stealing the milk, we are using actually the cashews, which are actually have almost no fibers, so there's no waste. We use like 99% of the cashews. We were trying, you know, we tried to use some other nuts like almonds, which are coming not so far from here, but we discovered that they have a lot of waste. And just to stay as sustainable as possible, we take the cashews and we make like something amazing. I don't know if the people, the listeners, or you guys, you tried the cheeses, but they're amazing. And like, I'm really interesting to try Raphael's ricotta, because this is actually one of our specialty, which no one until now was able to imitate. I mean, other cheeses of ours were imitated, you know, try to copy it, or people are doing something similar. But the ricotta is something which is really, really special, and people are using it like on the Flammkuchen, on you know, if you still have your oven warm, you can just put it on the pizza. You can put it in ravioli. There are restaurants right now in Switzerland who are using a ricotta and put it inside ravioli, which they're making themselves. You know, and you know, they're not even a vegan restaurants. You know, people are just going out using a cruelty-free cheese. You know, all the series of New Roots, we are a very ethical company, and the names of our cheeses is like Free the Cow. You understand it very well in ProVeg, and you know, and Free the Goat. So we are trying to send a message. We have a declaration of all of our products that we are against exploitation and against what we are doing as a civilization to other species, to the animals. And we're just trying to spread the message, again, of love, of happiness, of creating the world a better place. You know, we are going out to different markets, but at the moment we have to bremse and to slow a bit down, because we cannot actually produce as much as the market wants us to. So we are just, having strategy and tactics, how we can, slowly increase the production. And so we moved to a different production area here in Emmental. And we are trying to slowly increase. Of course, our best seller at the moment is the vegan alternative to camembert, the soft white, which looks like a camembert, with all the molds, and it looks like amazing, the softness and the creaminess of it. And we are trying to increase right now because this is actually our crown prince. I mean, we have other amazing products, but that's the way we are going to. And to be a company like ours, very small, young, very shy, we don't actually go and show enough what we can do. We get the respect of our communities, and right now we are all around, like almost in every shop of the big supermarkets in Switzerland and all the beer shops, because our product is 100% biodegradable, and yeah, that's the future.
And yeah, so regarding, thank you very much. Regarding the go-to-market strategy, so this is also a question which I'm also very curious about. We have seen it with Impossible Food, we have seen it with Beyond Meat, we have seen it with Good Catch, and also Just. They all had their go-to-market via the hospitality sector, with chefs, with professionals, etc. Was it in your way the same? Did you also do your go-to-market via some professionals to validate it, etc., and then go into the retail landscape, or was it vice versa?
We actually sometimes we give products that we develop or we try to think about. We give it to some chefs or some culinary schools to taste them. That means they're tasting with like professional chefs with the students here in Switzerland. Switzerland is very famous of its culinary arts academies. And they're actually tasting and testing our products, how it goes, for example, how you warm them, you cake them, you bake them, you make them raw, and then we actually get the ideas, and then we go out. We have some demands of restaurants. We provide to some restaurants in Switzerland at the moment. We have some requirements from neighboring countries, but we are not that far. This might be maybe the plan for the next few years, but at the moment is more the retail market. At the moment is more the bio distributors in the neighboring countries, of course, in Switzerland. But as you said, the hospitality, it might be a very, very good potential. We got a visit yesterday from a company here in Switzerland, which are absolutely not vegan, but they started to make a ravioli with our ricotta inside, and with our free de cow, the spread, the herbs and the garlic. And that's very interesting because they're not selling the products as a vegan product, as maybe cholesterol-free, because still the word vegan in Switzerland is not so popular, and people are very, very cautious. And when you say that you are vegan as a company, you get some minus points.
And did you have also, or were you facing some challenges in the past? I mean, we just heard from all of you that the last year was accelerating this business, and that the sales were really tremendous. But do you see also that do you had also some challenges in the beginning to convince category managers and so on, or was it every day, every door was open?
Actually, you have to be a bit less shy and just give the people the taste and the philosophy, because we try to project ourselves and sell ourselves as a very ethical company. So I think the start was not very to be commercialized. The DNA of the company is not to grow, and yeah, the sky's the limit. But as an ethical company, we were trying to reach some other peaks, like to educate people, to show people about the potential. And especially here in Switzerland, with, for example, I'll give you a small example. The veganery, it was like for everybody was trying to go for vegan for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. And there was the strongest marketing, aggressive marketing from the milk industry in Switzerland that was ever, in the history. They do like placards and advertisement all around the country of the happy cheese, of the happy cows in the mountains, how important it is to drink cow milk. And that's what I wanted to say. We position ourselves as an ethical company. So of course we cannot compete with such a big giants, but we're not facing a lot of problems because people were very open to try something different because of probably lactose intolerance. More than 70% of our clients in Switzerland are non-vegans. So it's people that would like to try something else because the purchase power in Switzerland is very high and people are trying maybe to be more aware and to fulfill maybe some their conscience of doing something good, not only for themselves, but for the world. And so that's, I think the start was very good. And the strategy actually is to spread the good vibes and the ethical code of the company.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Assi. So getting to Anthimos now from Violife, that's actually quite interesting to hear Assi with this more organic way of growing and slowly due to also limitations in the production, which come from the concept and from the whole setup. And Violife is the leading plant-based cheese brand on a more international and global scale, actually. So Anthimos, if you can tell us a little bit more about that market and where you still see white space for the market and where you also still see innovation potential for your company, for Violife.
Sure thing, Albrecht. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, after almost 7-8 years that we have been, I consider rather international, and then being present in 65 or so countries, I could say that different societies, different markets, different cultures are in a completely different stage of maturity in relation of plant-based cheese consumption. So we have what we call our core or more mature markets, and we have identified what we call the next-gen markets. You may be surprised in some cases. I mean, I can share with you some insights. For example, right now the big prize is, and I think the penetration we expect to evolve extremely aggressively in the traditional Western markets, including the UK, the Nordics, Netherlands. Spain is a very interesting country, especially has an organic bio element to it as well. Of course, the US right now on retail is a 400 million market on plant-based cheese and is growing with, based on the data that we have, it's growing roughly 30% year on year as we speak. But what's interesting is that we see other markets evolving and evolving quite aggressively. For example, Poland is a very interesting market. LATAM countries and some Far East Asian countries are considered to be what we call the next-gen markets going forward. And I think there is already a proven concept and a reality that our products should be perceived as being fully complementary to a dairy portfolio. So it's not about, that's why there's a lot of debate. Is it alternatives? Is it substitute? We consider them being alternatives simply because they actually provide an alternative way of nutrition, a more ethical one, a more sustainable one, an equally enjoyable one. And if you take into account that in most of these markets, there is a certain percentage of the population, which varies between 25 up to 35%, that are considered to be flexitarians or health conscious for whatever reason. This is, let's say, what we call the most relevant target audience for us. And it doesn't mean that necessarily they have to fully shift into a plant-based nutrition, because even if they partially incorporate into their that dietary plant-based nutrition, that will be a big win for us, for the category, for the planet.
Yeah, thanks. It's all about reduction, really, and so many different motivations for choosing plant-based alternatives, be it health, sustainability, environmental issues, or ethical reasons. ProVeg published a survey last year with the results from asking European consumers in a couple of countries and a couple of thousands of people, including both plant-based eaters and reducitarians or flexitarians, as you may call them. And in both groups, we saw that there is a lot of demand for new cheese products. So it was all about the offer. The choice was not big enough, and there was a demand for better taste. So I was wondering, you with quite a big product range already, what's in the pipeline, and what are you doing as an established company to improve and to satisfy that demand for new and better products?
Yep. So first of all, going in the first step, I would say that the challenge of the whole category is the fact that it's not dominated like plant-based meat or milk by a few hero products. So we are talking about a category with a huge variety of, we don't like talking about products, we like talking about end uses, because at the end of the day, this is what matters. I mean, the end use and what actually works for the end consumer and what is enjoyable for the end consumer. So this is why cheese is the most difficult category to tackle, because it has such a great variety of end uses with such different functionalities, and being, let's say, in a more mature stage as an operation, as a company, I could say to the panel and to all the people, the big challenge is, one, how you get it right, and the second is how you will be able to scale up. And there are difficulties there. For example, for us going global, there were a lot of challenges. For example, what about useful shelf-life of the product, and how can you succeed that in order to be able to become a global player while using no preservatives on your recipes? There are supply chain constraints. Now, on the innovation part that you mentioned, I think protein is becoming increasingly important. Our products currently are relatively low in protein. It's part of a project to boost protein. Fermentation is one way of doing it, but currently most people know that it has its challenges, especially about scaling up the whole process. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to see things a little bit different in a way, implementing some fermentation process, but on a ingredient level, not on an end product level, which could end up actually providing end functionalities, but doing it in an earlier stage. Because what is the big challenge? The big challenge is to avoid developing recipes and products in different production silos, because when we start discussing about how this category will become mainstream, value for money propositions will be critical going forward. So even if we develop products and it will be done within a silo concept, we will never achieve synergies. It will be extremely difficult to provide a value proposition for the end consumer. That's why it's very difficult to get it right, but to get it right in a way that it will be easy to scale up.
Okay. And for that, you're looking into new ingredients, actually, because everybody has their own, if you like, a preferred ingredient. And Anya was challenging that the ones, Anya from Noquo, that the ones available are not the right ones or not the best ones yet. So I guess you are also exploring that, and you're looking into new ingredients.
Yeah, it's not a secret. I mean, everybody is looking currently on what is out in the market in terms of plant proteins. And I agree with Anya. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to get, most probably you need some sort of a combination in order to get the good part of each of these elements, and actually in totality get the proper functionality for an end product. So, I mean, from different angles, everybody currently is trying to do the same thing, and hopefully all of us will get it right at some point. I mean, that's the whole concept.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much, Anthimos. that was really also a good recap of and also some good insights and in the whole production topic. And Raphael, so you are just precision, or not just, but you are more looking into the precision fermentation area and are specialized there. Could you give us some insights? Where are you and in which stage, and what are you facing at the moment as a main challenge, since Anthimos said that scalability will be one of the biggest challenges in the fermentation sector?
Yeah, definitely. And maybe very quickly, because I'm not sure whether all the participants actually know kind of about precision fermentation. I think what we obviously share, everybody here in this panel, is that we're trying to get the animals out of the supply chain, really. I think precision fermentation obviously is a different angle to this whole challenge of producing great cheese alternatives. As Anya also said before, the functionality of milk proteins is super unique. So looking at whey proteins and casein proteins, obviously, depending on the product you want to get out of those, they're very unique and hard to replicate through plants, right? And so our approach is basically to say, instead of having cows converting nutrients into milk and milk ingredients, we use microorganisms in a fermentation process. So basically genetically instruct microorganisms to do the same job, just much more efficiently, so that we have the functionality of the milk ingredients, but produced without the animals, basically. The challenge, obviously, of this technology is, and I think that kind of goes hand in hand with what the other panelists have said, it's about scaling up, right? So these things obviously work on a small scale, and now it's really about, scaling the fermentation process, making that process also very, very efficient, because at the end of the day, our vision really is to bring this product to the mass market, right? We don't want to be, pretty much always when you start working with a new technology and you don't have economies of scale, for example, when you enter the market, your product probably is a bit more expensive. Which is going to be the case for us as well, but we don't want to stay there. We really want to penetrate the mass markets and bring this kind of, really great product to everybody. And so I guess it's really around scalability and making the process more efficient over time that matters a lot to us.
No, that's indeed a very, very good insight. And the scalability, if we are talking about this, if we are going now to a next day, what do we think? What kind of market size do we need to really have this as a common source for the alternative cheese market? What are you expecting there?
In terms of precision fermentation produced products, you're asking. So I think the interesting question, or the interesting aspect about precision fermentation, obviously, is that we are not specifically looking at the plant-based cheese market days, but we're more interested in kind of the traditional cheese market, because ultimately, if we are, we're coming from this perspective where we say we perfectly bioidentically recreate what you have in cheese today. Our aim obviously is to go after the traditional cheese market, and not so much only also kind of position ourselves as we have the plant-based products, because essentially we aren't, right? So what I think is really interesting is that we are kind of working in the overlap of plant-based, because obviously the product is interesting for, flexitarians and vegans and vegetarians, but also really what we're trying to go for is, speaking to the cheese lovers, and we've done some consumer research ourselves, and interestingly enough, the most positively associated variable of whether people want to buy our products is actually how much cheese they consume today. So what we found is actually not the vegans and vegetarians and flexitarians are like the biggest target group, but actually the cheese lovers. So in terms of market size, the cheese market is like roughly 200 billion globally. I think 10 years from now we will see plant-based and precision fermentation above 50% of that whole market, actually.
Yeah. No, and what is the first application that you would look for? You mentioned ricotta. Will this be the first one, or could you also think about mozzarella, for example, which is coming very close to the holy grail that Anya mentioned?
Definitely. So we're working on both. And to be honest, the ingredients can be used for all types of dairy products. Ricotta and mozzarella are interesting for us because they're not ripened products. I'm not sure whether someone mentioned before, if you want to do an R&D process on a ripened product, you have always that waiting period to kind of see what will the product be at the end of the day. So kind of naturally working on the unripened product first, with obviously, my favorite cheese is Gruyere, and so I want to go, later I want to go into ripened products too. I mean, everybody here knows, these are more complex products, but I think having the right ingredients really is for us the key to unlock that potential. And by the way, I'm super glad about all the plant-based companies, making big steps to being better as well, because being on a plant-based diet, I love these products too. And so I think it's kind of a collective move into the right direction.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we received really a lot of questions in our Q&A section. I think, Albrecht, we will open it now and to ask some of the questions here.
Yes, maybe starting with Raphael, but the whole panel can say something about this question that comes up quite often, and that was asked by some participant as well, about the nature of the consumer experience or acceptance of the products that are seen as highly processed and not natural compared to dairy products, although you use, as you say, many of the same or exactly the same production processes. So maybe starting with Raphael and the most techie approach here, and then asking the other panelists.
Yeah, for sure. So we've done a global survey, 6,000 participants randomly selected out of 6 countries. That was the US, Brazil, UK, Germany, India, and China. I think what is really interesting, first of all, and you mentioned those buzzwords, kind of, natural and technology in food. Obviously, it's always kind of, what does natural really mean? I guess that's the first question. I think it's, we don't have enough time to answer that question. But what we basically found, and I think that is really, what we see, across age groups, actually, although obviously younger generations tend to be more optimistic and more open towards these trends, but in every aspect of our life, we're using technology to make it more sufficient, to make it more efficient, to make it more sustainable, whether we think about transportation, life science, communications. And I think more and more people actually realize also that, the food we already eat today is far from being produced without technology. And we have these great technologies that all of these companies are working on, including ourselves, that really offer a solution to, let's say, climate crisis, to all the problems that we have, heavy antibiotics use in animal industries and stuff like that. And so what we found is really that people are very, very excited to try and buy these products. So across the board, regardless of the country we've been looking at, more than 70% of the people were actually, saying that they were willing to buy the product, which specifically in our case, when we think about, biotechnology, is actually really a very, very cool number to see. And the opposition was very, very little, really. And that makes us very optimistic about bringing these products to market.
Thanks. Anyone else from the panel wants to say something about this sort of contradiction and sometimes also ambivalent perception of how natural things are, what processed means? Anya, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so this is, as Raf said, like, what does natural mean? What does products mean? So people have a tendency to be locked in certain opinions without maybe knowing the full picture. So it's becoming, but for me personally, with my background within nutrition, it's more of a hygiene quality than something that we need to approach. So one of the most common remarks we get on our product is, oh, it tastes so natural, it tastes authentic. And that's something we really aim to achieve. But I'm always kind of a bit ambivalent, because even though that is the take the route we're going, I still a little bit against the people's perception of food being too processed, because what does that really entail? It's an opinion, it's not a based fact. So something that's been heated that will increase the shelf life, then it's been highly processed, but it's prolonging the shelf life, it's reducing the waste, it has so many benefits to it. And people sometimes tend to, I think, to miss out on the full perspective of this, looking at the bigger picture, and just tend to focus on the small details. With that said, I think having a natural product, having something that will actually be good for you, for the planet as well as for your body, is a hygiene factor. That's my opinion. Thanks.
Can I jump in for a second?
Please go for it.
I think in order to reinforce that idea, I would say that I think it's quite normal. It's an evolution process, and I understand the questions around this whole topic. But at the end of the day, I would say that first of all, from a regulatory standpoint, I mean, all our products are being more than scrutinized in a way that sometimes it becomes a little bit unfair, you know, because we understand that we are considered to be acting competitive against the dairy competitors in the market. And obviously, the more we draw attention in the market, the more we are being scrutinized, which is fine at the end of the day. But being able to compete, for example, in our case, in 65 or 70 different markets with completely different regulatory environments, with completely different patterns of control, I would like to let everyone rest assured that the products are more than scrutinized in terms of the origin of the ingredients and the production process itself.
Thank you. So that leads us to another question that is about marketing and educating the consumer here. Is that something that's just a super big challenge, or just one more thing to do to bring these products and these kind of categories on par? Maybe Anthimos and everybody else.
Can you repeat, because my screen just froze?
Just that then educating the consumer is a big task here, because you need, someone asked about what marketing techniques can you use actually to make people, I mean, it's a bit hard to say understand, because consumers think that they understand this and this is fine. So it doesn't have to be too hard. You just have to convey the message in some way that is different from the dairy industry, for example.
Well, I mean, very briefly, I could say that we view things completely different than a mainstream brand. In a way, we don't try to impose an end use. We don't try to impose overconsumption. I think that people getting accustomed with our product is more about trial. It's more about the experience itself. So we try to actually follow rather innocent ways of actually attracting the end consumer, because at the end of the day, just to give you some numbers, I mean, 2 out of 3 additional revenue dollars or euros that are coming into our brand are coming from dairy consumers that are switching. Why is that? Because at the end of the day, when they are trying, they see that there is no compromise, or there is very little compromise at the end of the day. So I think that if we follow that route and we view this whole category as fully complementary to what currently exists in the market, is the safest way to go forward. We use more innocent means of communication, like social media, in-store promotion, but in a way that it doesn't become too aggressive. It's also about the brand authenticity at the end of the day. Is about what the brand represents and how that creates a form of quality. For example, we say Violife 100% vegan. For us, it's not about vegans, it's about everyone, but 100% vegan is some sort of an authentic trademark for the brand, because if it's good enough for vegans, knowing that they are scrutinizing the label and they are very concerned about the ethical aspects of the product itself, it should be good enough from a quality standpoint for everyone.
Yes. Anya?
Yeah, thank you. So we are facing several different challenges in this. We're producing something that should replace cheese, but we can't call it cheese. We are also facing, with meat, it's quite intuitive for people to understand what is the big negative impact of meat. So you have that the animal has to be killed. if you just take apart all the other aspects. But with cheese and the dairy product, it's not as clear to people what actually happens to the cow in the process, that you need 10 liters of milk to produce 1 kilogram of cheese, for example. So it's challenges in many different levels. And we are a company at Noquo that we don't really want to talk about being vegan or being plant-based. We want to talk about, you know, what we do and not what we're not doing. We don't want to be we want to go from being a preference to being a new reference, a new standard. And every time you introduce something new, you either have to be that much better or that much cheaper in order to succeed. So we're aiming to hopefully become both, but it's definitely a challenge. And I think that the consumer, also in the kind of wake of Corona now, people are becoming more and more aware, even though we can see some trend where people are kind of regurgitating back to the comfort food or the kind of food they had when they were growing up. I still think that many are telling us that people become more aware of what they're eating and why they're eating it and how it's impacting the environment as well as ourselves. So I think we are in the beginning of this trend and this wave, and I think it's gonna be, yeah, I hope that the consumer will continue to be interested and eager and wanting to learn more and wanting to do better for themselves and for our planet.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Anya. I have another question here regarding the preservation of plant-based cheese. What kind of preservation you use to really increase the shelf life for your products? Do you want to give some insights, or who wants to answer to that?
Sure, I can go ahead. We actually are currently not adding any preservatives or coloring agents or anything like that. So what we're using is the fermentation process that will decrease the pH and hence prolong the shelf life. So we are now, our determining factor for shelf life is rather the sensory experience and not the microbiology food safety aspect. So for us, with this product we're looking into right now, it's kind of easy. With that said, I don't know where we'll end up in the future, so I shouldn't sit here and say so too much. But there are often quite kind and easy way to prolong the shelf life. So you don't have to take the most potent chemicals. You can use some citric acid or whatever and just reduce the water activity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have all kinds of very technical questions and then more philosophical ones as well. So it's quite a bunch of different questions, and we can try to answer them as well afterwards. We will try to answer all of them if possible. But one is about health as well. Of course, we spoke about sustainability, about animal welfare, and so on. But of course, the health aspect is also out there. So the question is: dairy healthy, and is plant-based cheese just a bunch of different ingredients that make it seem something like the real thing? I want to ask Jan from Vegans and Anya from Vegans for that first, maybe. So they're still with us there behind all the products. Let's have a look there, Jan and Anya. What are you thinking about the health aspect of things? Can't hear you.
I think basically plant-based products are more healthier, not only sustainable, and especially when it comes to cheese. And let's talk about the coconut-based cheese. We don't have proteins in there, and this is claimed by many customers to our customer service, and the proteins are missing in our cheese alternatives based on coconut oil. But yeah, basically there are not so many ingredients. We only have 3 or 4 ingredients there, and I guess it's more healthier than dairy products, but I'm not the expert for healthy reasons or for healthy issues.
I would definitely prefer the nut-based cheese due to the ingredients.
Yeah.
Assi, you want to elaborate on the health aspect of cashews, especially?
Yes, the cashews are rich in proteins, and you know, it's not difficult to convince actually people, or to explain to them that they're free from the insulin growth factors that the mother cow actually has. And you know, when you eat your nuts and the clean eating, like Jan said and Anya said, like, you know, when you actually use the let's say the nuts-based cheese with with very little ingredients, so you will feel actually very great. You know, you'll feel very, very good, and the body actually will thank you afterwards.
Can I comment?
Of course.
Thank you. So I think this is, again, I like to look at the problems and questions from different angles. So one aspect is, how bad is dairy cheese for you? You have the cholesterol, you have some cancerogenic research focus, but it's still very much up to debate. The other thing is, do people eat cheese because it's healthy? So when you bite down on a pizza and you get this lovely cheese pillar, you're like, ooh, this is really good for me. So that's always something to take under consideration. Me personally, I do not buy the coconut oil starch-based cheeses. I tried probably each and every one that's out in the market, but it's not really my cup of tea. I like to have the full taste experience, and I like to feel full and feel happy in my body afterwards. But I think it's a very interesting question that you can look from at different angles, like what is the main focus here. But I think to develop product that will be on par with animal-based cheeses, and as well as might even be better, that's definitely the goal that we have set up for us anyways. Thank you.
Perfect. So we have also some specific questions here. For example, for Legendary, what do you use as a substrate in your fermentation process?
Yeah, good question. Basically, what we need is a carbohydrate source and a nitrogen source, right? So basically, at the moment, that is mostly corn-based. I think the really cool aspect about this is that today, if you look at the technology that we're using, which, you know, kind of the blueprint or the idea has been obviously around in biotech for a long time. So whether you think about insulin production or even chymosin production for, you know, traditional cheese processing already, the idea has already been there. Now what we're doing is kind of using that for bulk ingredients for the first time. And I see really our technology developing in a direction where we cannot, or where we're not only using kind of plant-based substrate to feed the microorganisms, but actually really go towards using side streams of, you know, the food industry and other industries, so we can make the process even more sustainable. And I'm you know, fairly certain about, like, this is where everything is going. And at the end of the day, then you can really, again, also boost the sustainability of your process, because you're essentially upcycling nutrients that wouldn't be fit for human consumption. So you're not really competing with nutrients that you could directly, you know, give to humans, I guess.
And maybe just want to stay with you, Raphael, for a moment when it comes to the regulatory issues that are more relevant probably for precision fermentation, but also for the others. Are there any hurdles that you see apart from political restrictions that may come into play soon with the amendment 171, but also now from the strictly regulatory side of things?
Yeah, regulatory, we are a novel food, so we need to, if we want to sell products in the EU, we need to hand in a dossier with the EFSA and pass the novel food application process. I'm not sure how this is with the others. I mean, obviously with the products that are already in market, probably wasn't the case. I mean, basically because we derive our ingredients from a microorganism, you know, we already fall under that restriction. So it takes us 18 months before we can actually sell the products in Europe. If you look into different jurisdictions, I mean, Europe is the most restrictive one. So if you go to different countries, we will be able to sell the products faster. At the end of the day, we want to be selling in Europe. So obviously we will hand in the dossier and you know, try to get to market here in Europe. I think at the end of the day, it's just, again, you know, Anthimos has mentioned that obviously as a new product with a new technology, there are hurdles you need to pass, which is also good because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that the products are safe. Yeah.
Are there any other issues on that side? I mean, this is it's not a problem for cashew-based cheese. Anya, are you facing or will you face any of these problems?
Not with our current technology, but since we are obsessive about continue the research, continue the development, who knows what we will face in the future. And I'm also very interested. I also have biotechnology in my background, so I'm quite interested in the whole producing of protein myself. So it's not unlikely that we will sometime in the future go down that route. But so far we are looking at the traditional food processing techniques combined with this new technology. So we're pretty good at the moment, but we'll see what happens later on.
Okay. There's also one question. How do you see that now the big companies and the big corporates are entering into the market? Can you give us an idea? Do you think it's great for the whole movement, or do you see also it's difficult because of the market position, etc.? Can you give some indication on this?
Are you asking me or who are you asking?
I'm asking in the round, everybody.
Okay. Okay, since I'm already speaking, I'll give my quick 2 cents on it. I'm happy for everyone who gets in the same boat as me. I don't care if it's the tiny person or the biggest guy. So everyone who wants the same thing as I do, every space that takes space in the shelf out in the stores will promote this movement, will promote my products, and will help us getting further ahead. So there has been some of these bigger companies that you're referring to reaching out to us, trying to fill us up and maybe see if they could buy us and stuff like that. And we're not really interested in becoming a part of that because we're doing something completely different, and we have set the aim of becoming an even bigger company in the future because we have very large dreams. But what I have seen, a tendency I have seen is that the kind of, and please, if someone else disagree with me, let me know, but these kind of companies doesn't often invest that much on the R&D in-house. So they tend to, every decision, the bigger boat, the slower it takes it for turn. So every decision takes a long time to implement a new technology, new ingredients. It takes a long time to get there. And so they have a tendency to maybe take the ready solutions that are available, that are easy to apply. So very often the cheeses that they are presenting and going into will be the standard coconut oil and starch-based ones. But please argue with me if you have another experience in that area.
I think Jan wanted to say something. Yeah.
Yeah, as I explained in our short presentation before, there's a huge market potential for so many participants, and nobody has be scared about competition now at this stage where we are. It's a really early stage where we are at the moment. And what I see, we see a lot of very, very good products, cool startups, and they often, from my point of view, at the moment, fail to set up the distribution. And that's a big advantage from the big guys, from the corporates. They have developed and established a distribution channel. And that's a big difference between the smaller caps and smaller companies and bigger companies. But the smaller companies are more believable, and I see some opportunities to get some market shares from the big guys with the products, and but they have to develop besides do the product development, they have to establish the distribution channel. That's very important, and we see very often that the startups are not able to set up a right distribution.
If I can reinforce that idea from a different angle, I would say that first of all, I agree with Anya in a way. At the stage where currently the category is, the more the better. I mean, in a way that that means most probably greater investment will take place. That's good for the category. That's good for the end consumer. New products, variety of options, all good. However, there are pros and cons. I'm a little bit blessed because we became part of a bigger organization. But the good news is this organization, Upfield, is under 100% under a plant-based mission, which is the good news. However, the challenge that, because we have been approached, as Anya said in the past, by various of players in the market, I think the biggest challenge is how you are able to collaborate within such environment, which is largely process-driven, while us being mission-driven. So it's a completely different element. It's a completely different mindset, mentality. And this is the big challenge for all of us, especially the ones that we practically started close to zero from scratch, in order to actually bring yourself in a situation where everything needs to be done in a certain bureaucratic way. It slows down growth. It takes out completely the entrepreneurial spirit. And this is something that I have to say, none of us afford to lose going forward. It will be bad for the category overall. So I would say that it's a completely different thing. For example, the big multinational leading in an established category, and it's a completely different thing pioneering in one that is currently underway to be shaped.
Perfect. This is a very, very good closing closing mark for our session today. I must really say it was a really not only inspiring and interesting session, it was very emotional. I heard so many really beautiful quotes here. So if we are doing now the wrap up, I must really say that Anya, you said one of the most beautiful sentences today. So science is helping to create an alternative cheese culture, and this is really what's all about. And Anthimos, you just said that you are the pioneers, and for the big ones, this will be really difficult to speed up, to accelerate in the way that it's necessary to the market. And Assi, you mentioned that the ethical aspect, especially for new routes, is a way to educate everybody on this journey. What's also a very, very good point. And from you, Anya and Jan, we got really a time travel back in where you are coming from and where we are today. You give us a very, very good picture how the German market is looking and what kind of potential we have here. And Raphael, it was really beautiful to see, okay, that we have many new technologies that are really developing this market. Of course, some challenges in scalability, but there will be a lot of a movement in this market to help and also to overcome these barriers to make this market the next one that will be really transformed a big size. So thank you very much from my side. And Albrecht.
Thanks, Fabio, and thanks to the panelists here. It's actually true. It's a fascinating thing that it seems to be so complex already, and there's so many things going on, and we're still at the very beginning, and the market potential is huge. So what I want to say is that apart from thank you also very much to all the participants, to Fabio, our co-host here, and the panelists, a great panel today. We want to include a short survey on future sessions. So we want to hear from you, from the participants, about your background and your expectations, the topics you're interested in. So we're going to share that in a moment, the very short survey. And then we're going to run our next event in May. So stay tuned and follow us on social media to learn more about that next event in May. Yeah, I hope you'll have such a lively discussion and again, such a passionate panel on the next topic, which we will tell you more about very, very soon. Thank you so much. And yes, please fill in the questionnaire and then see you soon again.
Yeah, thank you to all panelists. Thank you very much. And also thank you to you, Albrecht. See you next time. And
thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.